I'll do.
I know.
It's the start of the new.
Okay, I will call this meeting to order at 5 a.m. for the Port of Hood River and PM. Thank you. We will start off with the election of officers. Oh, can I get a nomination? If anyone is interested in nominating anyone for officers.
Should we just set up a plank and then vote for that?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
Somebody's got the second.
I will nominate the next term, Commissioner Gehring as our president, Commissioner Beaker as our vice president, Commissioner Thomas as our treasurer, and Commissioner Chapman as our secretary.
Second,
And yourself?
he's at large. He would be at large.
Tell me what you need me to do.
Isn't it her turn to be? Or do
We
you,
battle.
do you
I don't want to
feel,
set myself up to be in charge. I don't want to set myself up to be in charge. One of my.
if you're both
I got
happy,
the short straw.
if you're both happy with you being secretary and you being at large, then I am also happy.
Then we need a
I
second.
second your plank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then is there any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair, aye. And then I will turn the meeting over to Madam President Gehring, but since she's absent this evening,
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Hello.
Hi.
But I do think that we're going to, for administrative and lag, have Vice President Beaker run the meeting. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Please.
Okay.
Congratulations, Madam President.
Who I didn't I got here just seconds too late. Who's the secretary?
Me.
Ah,
I am the
Right on.
secretary.
All right, are there any modifications to this evening's agenda?
Staff has none.
Moving on, do we have any public comment?
Not until I'm fine,
This
but not until the hearings.
Okay.
Okay. No, we did also get two excellent and detailed letters, which are super appreciated. Moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to pass the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions, comments? Okay, how about a vote?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, unanimously. There we go. Let's move on to informational reports. Debbie's financial. Is she?
She's online.
Great.
I am actually here if there are questions. I think I did want to say that I worked on getting a preliminary draft here of what it looks like through June 30th, and that there will be changes because not all of our invoices have come in so far, and there will probably be some revenue recognition that we'll need to go through and look at. But I think I think overall, I think it's a pretty good indication of where we're going to end up. The one area that I would see potentially, I should say, not probably, but potentially some bigger changes is in the bridge replacement fund, because we recorded the expenditures based on where we thought the money was going to come from. There's various grants that are still in the port's name, and then other grants that are in the Bridge Authority's name. And so I still need to go through and confirm that exactly where we want to record the expenditures, whether we want to record them as port expenditures under the port grants, or whether they're going to be Bridge Authority expenditures under the Bridge Authority grants. So there will probably be a bit of change in the Bridge Authority fund, but I believe other than that, everything is pretty close to where we're going to end up for the end of the year. And the bridge replacement may be pretty accurate as well. I just need to go through and confirm that.
Any questions about the financial report? I have a few for you. On page 59. I wanted to
Okay.
ask, it looks like we have a budgeted revenue from our seasonal dock of $20,000 and $500. And it's zero. Is that just one of those things that's invoiced and we haven't received payment for yet?
Daryl has her hand up and I'm going to defer
Go
to
ahead, jump
her.
in.
When we bring everything in, the seasonal dock, it got put in there and that's the one with the float plane. It's run in under moorage. I've never separated that out before, so it shows up somewhere else.
Okay, okay, great. And a couple other questions for you, Debbie. On page 56, under industrial properties, the budget revenue of $1 million under grants, interest, and other, were we expecting a grant which we did not receive?
So that one is actually, let me double check, make sure I'm talking about the right thing, but that was the one that's under lot 1. Is that correct? The million?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Okay. And so that one is an EDA grant that we have been awarded. Well, and actually we have signed for it, but it will be when construction starts on that roundabout. That will actually, when we made the budget for this fiscal year, the waterfront transportation did not exist. We always had put everything under lot 1. And so during the year, discussions with Commissioner Shepard and a few others made it clear that we really didn't want to keep calling that lot 1 because it's really an improvement for the whole entire waterfront. And so we started the waterfront transportation department. I never moved that grant because it became pretty clear that we're still working on design. And so that has actually rolled forward into the next fiscal year. When we start construction on that, you'll start to see us having expenditures for construction and then getting the reimbursement from that grant.
Okay, thank you. And then just one other clarification that I think is really helpful for understanding this budget. I wanted to run by you. Under non-departmental on the same page, we have the $6.8 million contingency. And if I recall, that was kind of set up because we had expected some revenue and we wanted in our budget the freedom to be able to spend that money should we choose. And that's just what that's about, right? It's balancing that.
Yes, and so that's basically it's a placeholder. And so if we had sold Big 7, because if you'll remember a year ago, we were sort of on that cusp of are we going to sell it? Are we going to keep it? And so I believe back then I made it clear that I budgeted for both things. I said, well, if we don't know if we're going to sell it, I'm going to budget all the expenditures as if we keep it, which we did for the year. But also in case we do sell it, I'm going to budget that so that we can then, if we figure out what we want to spend that money on, we'll be able to do it. And so I had kind of budgeted both ideas last year. And so that 6.8 million, most of it is just the idea that we would be potentially selling property. And it's budgeted again that way this year with both Big 7 and then the Lower Handle Mill property as well. And I did that same thing where I recognized the potential of having revenue, but then I set it aside in contingency just so that we're recognizing that it could happen, but it doesn't get caught up in operations. I didn't want that money, if we did sell a large piece of property, I didn't want that money to come in and all of a sudden be spent on operations, unless you as a commission choose to do that specifically. It's very easy if we don't segregate these things for things to kind of slop over, if you will, into other areas. And so I'm really working hard to keep everything separate so that we're tracking everything separately.
Okay, thank you. You guys want to move to committee assignments?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Debbie.
Okay, should we just go down through this and see if there's consensus on what we want these committees to be? Does that seem reasonable?
Sure.
So at the top, we have, commissioners for the airport advisory. I'd like to be one of those.
Does there need to be more than one on these or just one?
I think it's up to us.
Is there anyone else that wants to do airport advisory committee?
I would like to do airport advisory committee, please.
Okay. You are on it.
Thank you.
How about the budget? Is everybody good with staying on the budget committee?
I think we have a choice.
No, thank you.
Right, and it looks like, finance, is traditionally the president and treasurer. Should we stick with that? Are you okay with that, Heather?
Mhm.
So that would be Heather and Catherine. Properly, personnel's would be myself and Heather, correct?
Correct.
And the bridge committee.
Do we still need that? Does that help? Has that been helpful in the past tour?
I feel like it really has, because it's dealing with the minutia of maintenance and insurance and all this kind of stuff.
So then I have another question on that is, do you feel that it would be beneficial or redundant to have Catherine be on that committee since she's sitting on the new bridge committee, or is that just bridge overload for poor Catherine?
I would love to be on that one as well. And that, I mean, as long as there's not, we don't see us.
It's not an onerous committee. It's a infrequently meeting committee,
Yeah.
but the stuff that is dealt with is important because it's looking at things like frequency of weld repairs, bridge load issues, engineering reports and things like that. So it is.
Which is why I was thinking Catherine would be very appropriate to be on it, because then she would have firsthand knowledge as
Oh,
she
yeah.
brings that information to the bridge board.
Okay, are you good at doing that?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay,
Throw me in, coach. I'm ready.
okay.
See, I'm volunteering everyone.
Yeah, I'm really, I know, that's why I'm doing it.
And I'm okay to continue on that
Okay.
due to my institutional knowledge.
Yes, please.
I think that'll be helpful.
Mhm.
Okay, moving down, does anyone, the Energy Council, we didn't have anyone on the Energy Council, did we? Does anyone have a passion to attend Energy Council meetings?
Do not have a passion.
Okay, moving on, Hood River Economic Development Group, that's something that you.
Yeah, there isn't typically a elected official role. That's primarily administrative.
Okay, so unless there's a burning urge.
The only thing that I would like is if I could just be looped in, like when there are meetings. I'm trying to learn a little bit more on the, commercial side, job, that whole
Yeah,
thing. So
Agreed.
I would happily be more involved with that.
Cool, okay.
okay, we are an ex officio member, it looks like, of the Hood River Chamber of Commerce, Visit Hood River. Have you been doing that, Christy, or no?
They have not, Heather and I have kind of split that, and they have not had consistent meetings. I think it's really hard in a tourism focused industry, coming into summer and all that. They're more.
Okay.
So I mean,
That seems like it's something
I think
that
it's
we have an
great.
interest, one of us can just like pop in,
yeah, I think it's great.
because we're an ex officio member, so one of us can go as representative, but we don't need a standing individual. Okay, and it looks like Heather gets to be on the OCPA. With you, yeah,
Absolutely.
okay, great, moving on down. Do we have a committee? It says for the Oregon Airport Manager Association. I mean, it's
Just a liaison, I think it's not a committee as much as it is
Yeah.
just an elected official that participates.
so we have Jeff on that.
Yeah, he kind of represents the staff side.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, would you like to be our official person?
I would rather not be the official person this
Okay.
year, if that's okay, but.
Yeah, I'll be the
down
official
the road.
person. I'll be an official person for that, because I'm planning on going to the next conference.
Perfect.
And then Rotary. Since I'm a member. I
He's
can
already a
easily do that. Okay.
Good.
Okay, boom. And then, we also, I noticed what wasn't on this list was anything to do with the waterfront.
So if you recall, the two committees were disbanded and they'll be utilized as stakeholder groups, like when we get into the strategic business plan process, we'll convene those stakeholders at the appropriate time.
Okay,
There just wasn't much going on that front.
I would really like to find a special committee for Commissioner Chapman.
'Cause I don't have one.
Well, I did want to ask a clarifying question on the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
That seems a little, so is that just any, or, because a lot of times they will ask, who is your representative?
I could be it if we need a name only, but if we could just let it be, I do feel like it would be good to have different commissioners attend those meetings.
Court commissioner at large kind of thing.
And then if they arm wrestle me for a name, I'll put Christie's, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that sounds
I
excellent.
can talk about that.
Okay, are there any other committees that aren't on here that you can think of?
The only one I was talking to Commissioner Shepherd, that I thought of, if we felt it was an appropriate time, since we are doing a lot of focus on real estate and our commercial holdings and our tenants, should we, like the airport advisory group, like all of that, does Amanda need support in a smaller think tank?
So you could do an internal.
That's an internal one.
Yeah.
And then I would be happy to sit on that.
Great. So is there a second commissioner that would like to be in that?
I think it's great if that's what you want to focus on.
I'll focus on that.
So I'm gonna put down internal property committee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be my backup.
Okay,
Ben will be back up.
I'll put you in parentheses. That seems great because that way, much like the internal bridge committee, that internal committee can sort of ask a lot of questions and vet ideas and then help interpret that for
Oh, yeah.
the rest of the commission. I think that's an excellent idea. Thank
Yeah.
you for the recommendation. All right, moving on to the executive director report.
All right, let's see, we're zipping along here. Let me get there. So I'm not going to read the report. I traditionally don't do that. I did want to just bring one thing to your attention, and that is that we do have a bridge inspection coming up. If you recall that we do have an engineering contract with HDR to put together a program for spot painting and miscellaneous steel repairs. And so those inspections are going to be starting, I believe, on July 28th. That just came out today. And so we'll be sending out a press release, social media update on that. There shouldn't be any lane closures. If anything, it'll be very short, letting people out to get to the towers or what have you. But we don't anticipate any significant traffic or lane stoppage during that period. But this is really the next step so that we can do the spot painting and the miscellaneous steel repairs, which is in the 12-year CIP.
Super. And I just wanted to open it up if Patty, Debbie, or Daryl wanted to talk about anything in their particular reports.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I don't know, you might have something to share that is beyond what you're
The only thing I'd like to add to that is Amanda's property management summary. Yes. Thank you.
oh, right,
That is the thing I've been wanting for years.
Let's move to that. Would you like to talk about that a little?
Sure. So it's report, so.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of headed differently, so.
Yeah, but I just wanted to thank you for that. That's very helpful.
Yes, you're very welcome. Any part particular?
All of it. It's the nice summary. I think this is very good for the public. I think this is very good for everyone to kind of know what's happening in our commercial buildings.
I have a question about the Big Seven.
Sure.
Says we have a new tenant negotiations underway for the 5-year lease on the 4th floor. Assuming that goes through, what kind of capacity are we at in the Big Seven building?
Ooh, so pretty close to 80%. The lower level of Big Seven have some issues
Yeah.
with some water leaks and things like that. I've said kind of my advisories to Kevin is if you're gonna sell, I wouldn't recommend investing a ton of money into what could be a problem. I think that's where buyer due diligence comes in and we say, hey, we know there's issues, what we know on a very basic level, because that's honesty and the buyer's job is to explore as they see fit. If we intend to keep it long-term, that's something we'll want to dig into to solve those problems, to then be able to lease those bottom floors. I think the smell of liquid is there at least. But you know, it's not to say that it's not an older industrial building, and that's kind of what happens eventually. So, you know, the upper floors continue to have interest. We have the whole third floor, which are art-based folks that are doing a really great job. We're hoping to turn that floor more into a focal point for the building. In talks with the tenants there to perhaps put in some sort of art mural to get the walls more tenant approved and public ready, as opposed to the, you know, tough industrial look. And so we're excited about that. And then adding common space furniture and just making it more of a community focused property instead of a vacant industrial piece.
So we're on track for 80% occupancy.
Correct.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Really cool. Thank you. Great.
Can we, just for the public, right now we're at 54%, or what is the current?
So the upstairs fourth is the piece that is currently under negotiation, which is a very large piece. A hat manufacturer, I believe, is looking to go in there. So only the bottom half, where we talked about having those issues, will be vacant once that takes hold.
Thanks. Are there any commissioner or committee reports?
So normally, Mr. Commissioner Rowley, former Commissioner Fox, Mike Fox gives you guys a bridge update. Is there any questions that you have for this? Report? So it's asking because.
No, I think that next month we're planning on doing a pretty big focus on.
Yeah, like I mentioned in my ED report, I think there's been a lot of interest in everything that's been going on with the bridge over the last year. Everything from last year's bridge strike to the barge bump to the closure due to the Rowena fire. So right now we've got HDR, Wisjani, working with Charles Young at the County Emergency Management. And we're hoping that in September to do a quick presentation just on all of the elements related to the bridge, maybe do an annotated version of the inspection report because those things are fairly dense. So have it kind of explained what these things mean. And so really just an opportunity just to kind of go through that, share it with the public. It'll likely get dispersed through other media outlets, and just a good way to, you know, regain some confidence in our plan. I did meet with Amanda Coons, who recently formed a Facebook group, and so, you know, tried to give her a lot of information that maybe internally we tend to take for granted because we work on it all the time. And so I think she kind of appreciated it. And some of that Patty's been putting on the website. So we're starting to put more things on the bridge webpage just to increase awareness and availability. So, you know, that's just something we're going to be doing, you know, as often as we need to. But I'm shooting for September, and I think that's probably the best way to plan on September.
Okay.
Yeah, Captain.
That presentation would be answering the questions potentially that were submitted as the public comment. So that would be really beneficial for the public to watch that presentation.
Absolutely.
The current bridge.
Yeah, so Patty was able, she's been kind of monitoring the social media, so she's been kind of pulling those questions and comments off that. So we've got, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 pages of questions, and then we're dispersing that to our engineers to respond, and then that'll be the basis for the presentation.
Okay. Super. Moving on to action items. I'll go ahead and open the hearing on the Marina Development Ordinance. So this is where we can take public comment, just like we would normally do at the start, correct?
Yes, and we have, Brian.
Okay.
Brian Robb, 922 Union Street. Once again, I'm speaking about ordinance number 29, new Marina Park ordinance you have on the table today. At the risk of repeating myself, I must again take issue with the description of this ordinance as being a clarification of the 1995 Citizen Pact ordinance, which you are now referring to as ordinance 14-3, which is not really the correct name for it, but that goes back to the measure title. That's it. I feel that ordinance 14.3 was very clear in its desire not to see additional commercial operations at Port Marina Park. Other than what is there, the voters knew this when they made their choice of the ballot box. The new ordinance simply voids the meaning and intent of 14-3 and goes against the will of the voters. I'm very confused by the frequently asked questions that you have in your packet there. Specifically statements 2 and 4. In the fact it says the ordinance 14-3 is being repealed and has to be repealed. I assume this means it is repealed by clause 10 in the ordinance, new ordinance. But that clause says that any policies that conflict with the new ordinance are hereby repealed. Well, in the fact, statement number 5 specifically states that policies are not laws. So I feel that that clause does not repeal the ordinance because it only repeals policies, it doesn't repeal laws. And if it is the desire of the court to repeal ordinance 14-3, it should simply say so, and it should say so in the new ordinance. And if you're using clause 10 as a blanket repeal statement, I think that's really kind of hiding something there from the people. If ordinance 14-3 is to be repealed by ordinance 29, as I said here, then it must specifically state so by using the court's own reasoning. Voters need to know that their will is being overturned by the passage of this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Nick. Okay, well, I didn't really read anything or prepare anything, but I got. Well, yeah, my name's Brian Carlstrom, 100 Highway 35 River. So often I hear the court talking about the parks not creating the revenue stream that they are hoping for, and there's their remedy for that is to try to bring in some revenue, and that's just not the nature of parks. What I propose for the port, and the example's been set with the waterfront park, which was Portland before, lot 6, I think it was, and it was donated to the city of Hood River on the condition they would do a good job building it, maintaining it, that sort of thing. And as anybody who's gone down there has seen, that that's been a huge success. That's one of, and I hear people coming from Portland when I go down there. I see people and I talk to them, and they say, "Oh yeah, we came up to the river to go to this park, and go to the businesses across the street, Solstice or Frame or Ferment or something like that." So that has been proven to be a success, and I propose that you do the same with all of your parks, because there's such a burden on the port, and the port, as I've heard many times, it doesn't have the revenue stream from taxes that the city has. Incidentally, I did talk to Mayor Blackburn, River Mayor, recently about this proposal, and he was open to the idea of looking at it. So I think that would be, he didn't say yes or no, but he was intrigued by the idea, especially this Marina Green area. I know he's a proponent of parks and greenery, and I think that should be pursued. Relieve the burden that the parks have on the port. You can focus on things that are more port oriented, like the industrial sites and that sort of thing, the port and the airport, of course. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
That's it? Okay. I hereby close the public hearing on the Marina Development Ordinance. The next item is second reading and passage. I do have a question for you about this, Kevin.
Yep.
Process is outlined here. But my understanding is we already completed.
So you have to do a second reading by title.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the reading of ordinance 29 by title only?
Second.
Discussion.
There's only one thing that I would like to say, through all of this. I know that the FAQs were put out today. And thank you, Kevin, for doing a great job in a very short amount of time. And I know that there was maybe one or two inconsistencies in that. And so, you know, obviously need to button those up a little bit. I want to thank both Brian, or all three, Brian, and Linda, and everyone else who has made comments on this. Everyone went about it the appropriate way, came with very good questions, very pointed things, very but you did your research, you contacted the port, you met with commissioners. I just really, you know, this is the way that the process is supposed to go. And so I just want to acknowledge and just say that I greatly appreciate that. And it makes me, you know, I really want to make sure that this is clarified. And so I know that there was a couple of things in the FAQs. And so what I'm curious is, does the hearing today end this process? Or I want to make sure that these fine people who have showed up, that we're all, no one feels slighted, no one feels bait and switched, no one feels like we're pulling the wool over anyone. And so I don't know where to, I don't know what our options are.
So there's a couple things here. One is making sure that the entire board understands the intent of this ordinance.
Correct.
You know, and so I want to make sure that the way that this was crafted by Ashley, discussed, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, is to allow the port the potential to develop that exempt area in the 6F property at the site where the DMV and the old chamber building are. That's the intent here, that there could and may be development at that site.
And that was my question this morning. My question is on the ordinance. I can read that. It reads fine. My question was on the clarity of the FAQ.
Right.
I don't want, and I agree with that. I don't want the FAQ to be able to be read as we're trying to either hide something or say that we're not going to do something, or going to do something that perhaps we're not or will. I think it should just be crystal clear. And when I read that, I could see a couple of sections where it read like maybe we're saying we're not going to do something, or potentially not going to do something. And I just want to be very clear and transparent that the ordinance is going to read that we may look into that for that particular area.
Yeah, and I think that's where Ashley, we had a conversation, Commissioner Beaker, Ashley and I did review that, and I think there is going to be a slight edit to the FAQ, which should clarify it better.
Thank you.
The ordinance itself, though, is as we discussed, as was intended.
The way I read it is.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, I just didn't want anyone to feel like there was something being passed and something being told.
Right.
I want it to be very linear.
Is it Ashley?
I'm here. Hello.
Oh,
Just so to add 2 comments to that. First, I do appreciate how open and clear the commission is attempting to be with the public on this. I do feel like, you know, you are giving people time to comment. You are allowing, you know, you are attempting to answer questions with these FAQs. I definitely don't want to add any sort of further confusion with the answers to these questions. The intent as I read it, of the original ordinance and continuing in the new ordinance is one, to continue to use undeveloped pieces of property within this area only for recreational purposes. And two, to allow properties that have already been developed within that area to continue to be developed. So to the extent that any of those properties fall within the exemption area and they have already been developed, then yes, they would continue to be developed. Same goes for any other property within that area. If it's already been developed, then it can continue to be developed. Subject to, of course, city zoning laws, subject to federal restrictions, including the 6F restrictions, etc. Right? The only express call out that we made in that ordinance is for the bridge replacement project. So we wanted to be crystal clear with the bridge replacement project. However it is characterized, it is permitted. We didn't put any similar exemption for the exemption area. We simply said that properties that have been developed may continue to be developed. I hope that adds some clarity and doesn't further confuse things. The other comment I wanted to make just now was I appreciated the public comment about repealing prior ordinances versus policies, and that section of the ordinance that we drafted. I think that the intent there was simply to address any prior policies, in fact, administrative policies that the port may have on that area of land. But we also could be crystal clear in this ordinance, again, to be open with the public, that it is repealing that prior ordinance, right? That doesn't have to be implied, that can be expressly stated. So if you are hoping to move forward tonight with a motion, you could move to pass the ordinance as written with that minor amendment of clarifying section 10 includes expressive repeal of 14.3.
Thank you, Ashley. If there's no further discussion, yep, you've got a question.
So I am new to the group. I just wanted to be really clear with that I'm not as informed as other commissioners. And so I had a discussion, one of my orientation meetings with Mr. Greenwood to talk about when do you abstain from voting and why would you abstain from voting. I've gone through the ordinance. I've really looked at the purpose and its authority, the publication process, all the definitions, because there was a concern about developed land versus undeveloped land and conversations about that. I looked at the different legal lots to see what was developed and undeveloped land to really understand the way that this is set up. I have a little understanding of the 6F property and what can be done on 6F property, both with the port building currently we're sitting in on 6F property, and also why this is designated 6F property. I've looked at the bridge exception, and so because getting to the bridge, Amendment 5, I will be voting tonight because I do feel very informed of this. And anything that stops the bridge from being built, in my opinion, stops community development, and something I stand for is specifically the community and what brings jobs and economic development to the community. So I just want to explain that. I am coming in a little bit late to the game, I'm acknowledging, but the reason I believe I do, after speaking with Kevin, feel like I have a vote and I have a voice in this. I really support the way that it's written, how to appeal and amend, because it's pretty easy to take a meeting and a motion and to get this and to move forward. I like the idea, Ashley. Thank you so much for the clarifying for the public comment, because that was something that I really did hear, and that was going to actually cause me a little bit concerned. So thank you for bringing that up. But I just wanted to make sure I said that before moving forward. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so votes, we've already to read it.
Ben made a motion, Christie seconded, so you just need the vote now.
Yep. Commissioners? Aye.
So do we say aye as amended to add that?
This is just reading.
Oh, we're not yet. Aye. Thank you. Aye.
Aye. So Patty.
Aye.
Director,
There's still-
ordinance number 29, ordinance amending Port Marina Basin development rules.
Okay. So can I get a motion to adopt it?
So just to clarify, so Christie, if I'm listening, you were wondering about adding the direct repeal of 14.3. So Ashley, check me on this. So you could make a motion to adopt ordinance number 29 with the modification of the direct repeal of 14.3 if you so choose.
So I have a question for the commission. And, you know, I don't like to drag things out, because that wasn't expressly said in the FAQs. Does the commission feel like we should give the public another opportunity, since that clarifying language is there, before we agree to make this adoption, so that there is just none of this, you know, I didn't know, I'm raising my hand too late? And I don't know how the commission would feel about that, but that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable. Just because this is kind of a big,
So that is an option available to you. Like I think one of the questions in the FAQ is, do you have to do it? Can you have a month delay? You certainly may, if that's what the full commission chooses to do. One question I do have for Ashley is, does this ordinance, since it was read by title only, does it have to be unanimous?
oh,
That's a good question. I can look up your bylaws right now, but it would probably depend on what your bylaws say.
No, I can know.
if someone wanted to really come to the commission and express a huge, I guess, issue, saying that they weren't aware that it was going to replace or repeal the earlier policy. I know it's been explained in meetings. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I agree with you that it is incredibly important in that this cannot hold up anything with the bridge. Especially with all of the awards that just happened, all of everything that is happening in the legislature. I don't want any ripples of doubt to be sent anywhere either. And so I'm very, very torn on that.
I can't take your question right now. As a public meeting, there's a public comment opportunity. That was the hearing portion of this. And then this portion is where the board is meeting and having a public meeting, but that is only to say that it is a meeting open to the public, not with the public. I hope that explains it well.
Well, I understand what you're saying. There were some things that I presume as the lawyer said that were inaccurate.
Well, it's important that we don't get into debates and arguments in this part of the meeting. So if there are inaccuracies, that's something that you would submit separately. So right now, I'm just asking, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance number 29 with or without an amendment specifying that the prior 14.3 is being repealed as part of the process? Like, that's a separate issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it does or does not need to be. That's the part.
It does not need to be
It does
there.
not need to be.
No.
And you can do it later if you choose to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can I note for you all that if you would like to further fact gather, you can also open your public hearing and discuss this more if that's something you would prefer.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and reopen the public meeting. If you'd like to step up and raise your concern, I'm fine to do that. And you can raise the question and
Okay.
we can get an
And I
answer.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I guess the people in the audience are the ones are kind of the old guard here, because it seems as with the previous meeting, a lot of the port commissioners didn't really know that there was an initiative. And now what I'm hearing is that the intent of the original initiative was to allow development on those buildings there. That was not the intent of the initiative. The intent of the initiative was to protect the whole waterfront. Because those buildings were there, we were going to allow them to remain there in their use until they're not, but not to develop them. And I heard the attorney saying they want to, that because they were developed before, we could develop now. No, it's not the intent of the initiative. It never was.
Okay, thank you. Are you making a motion?
Yeah, that's the intent of this.
I'm gonna close the public hearing.
Yeah.
And moving back to the discussion of the motion under.
I understand the intent of the 30-year-old initiative, but I also understand the intent of this new one, so. And I'm fine with it as it's written, and I don't think, I respect the comments I've heard, I don't think that changes anything. I think people have had plenty of time, should they wish to comment on this, and I'm glad we did that. And there will be more, I'm sure, but I'm fine with that as it's written. Do I need to wait and see if we have to be unanimous on something? Do I have to?
You don't.
I don't think so.
Then I would move to pass ordinance number 29 as written.
Do you have a second?
I will second. Can I make a comment with my second, or I guess?
Sure. So there can be further discussion at this point.
So my discussion would be that, I believe that the intent of this commission is we have buildings that are in need of repair. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our community to balance recreation with economic development. I feel that if we do not give us the opportunity to repair or refurbish or redevelop on that regard, on those parcels, I think we would be shooting ourselves financially in the foot. That being said, I also wholeheartedly agree that, again, with this waterfront strategic plan and community plan, there's no way that I believe that I am going to decide what's going to go in that parcel there, and it should be a community decision. If we repair, refurbish, redevelop those two things, but I agree, we don't need strip malls, we don't need giant business parks or anything like that.
Rotting in place is also not an option.
Also an excellent point. So in that regards, I will second.
Okay, votes. Yes.
I mean, yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Aye. Right, motion passed. Moving on to approving resolution 2025-26-1, adopting updated business matters. Can I get a motion? Page 171 in your packet.
Thank you.
This is the correction of our auditors and also allowing our executive director to make certain purchases. That basically it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I move to adopt resolution number 2025 TAC 26 TAC 1 authorizing business matters for the 2025 TAC 26 fiscal year.
All right.
Second.
Votes. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Heather
Aye.
and I.
Great, thank you.
All right, moving on to upcoming meetings. We have a regular session next on August 19th, 2025. Do we have any commission directives to staff we wish to confirm? Anything specific? So with that, I am going to close down, adjourn the public meeting, and we will open our executive session shortly. Okay.
Can you actually read what's in the script? Under ORS.
Oh, in the yellow?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The board
giant
commission
highlighted
will
section.
now meet an executive session under ORS 192.6602E to consider real property transactions. Only news media representatives and staff designated by the Port Commission are permitted to attend the executive session. News media representatives, staff, and Port Commission members are respectfully directed not to report on any of the discussions that occurred during the session, except to state the general subject as previously announced. The court will return to regular session if there is a need for action on the executive session item. No final action or decision may be taken in an executive session. Any materials distributed will be collected by the executive director at the end. And I adjourn the public meeting.
Like you
Thank
enjoyed that.
A lot of